So we know how important it is to consistently show up on social media. And we also know that we're humans and sometimes it's really hard for us to consistently be showing up on social media. Like, how do you have that mindset to be able to show up on social media all the time is literally the number one question I always get asked. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through some of the mindset shifts that I use to take me from not ever showing up on social media to consistently showing up on social media. So stick around. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am your host, Morilla. I'm so excited about today because we're talking about mindset. You guys know how much I love talking about this stuff because without mindset, you do not have a successful business. I am an advocate of this. If you watch me on social media, just somewhere on the screen on Instagram, you should go follow me and you should go check that out because I talk a lot about mindset and how that just changes everything. Okay, so welcome back. I'm your host, Morilla. If you are new here, thank you for stopping by. It's nice to meet you. This channel is for coaches, service providers, and small business owners. If you've been here before and you're coming back, it's good to see you again, my friend. I'm so happy that you're here. But if you're new, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified every week when I drop these videos. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through the 3 tips plus a little bonus. So yeah, you're gonna have to stick around to the very end that I use to shift my perspective about showing up on social media consistently so that my business can continue to thrive. So let's get into it. So I'm gonna take you to my kitchen. So we're gonna have a little chit chat over here. So the first thing I want to talk about is why is it that being on social media is important? Like, why is consistency so important? And if you've watched my videos, and I'm sure you have, then you know that the number one thing I talk about is consistency. And you probably cringe at the thought of it because you were like, how the hell does someone say so consistent on social media without getting exhausted, right? Because energetically speaking, it does take a lot. But it's all about having these 3 shifts that I've used in my business to be able to transition to showing up consistently and separating my social media from my personal life. But I ultimately want to explain to you why it's so important to be consistent. Because at the end of the day, I'm sorry if I'm shaky here. The reason why it's so important for you to show up on social media and be consistent is because you are building that know, like, and trust factor. Just like you watch your favorite TV show and you know that it's on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every single night, and you sit down on your couch and you are ready to binge watch that show, right? That is the same way you should treat your brand. If your audience knows that they expect a video from you, a story from you, a post from you on every day or on a very specific day, you should provide that value because what's happening is you are building that know, like, and trust factor. Not to mention that it obviously builds professionalism and all those things, but that's really irrelevant. What is the most important thing is that you are creating that avenue of loyalty within your customer. So having that consistency is very important. The thing that I want to talk to you guys about is, what do you do when you have a bad day? What do you do when you don't feel like showing up and you don't want to put on makeup? Or if you're a guy and you're just like, I have nothing to say, or nobody cares about what I have to say, or there's so many people that do what I do, I'm not seeing results. Like, why would somebody want to work with me? Nobody cares about me. What are my friends and family gonna think? All of these things, which, by the way, full transparency, totally think about those things too, all the time. It's normal, it's natural. Like, it is part of what it takes to be an entrepreneur. And whether you're showing up on social media or not, and you run a brick and mortar, for example, you would still think these things because they are thoughts about stepping outside of your comfort zone. You are doing something different that someone on a 9-to-5 basis doesn't have to do. So the first tip I want to talk to you about is how to get in the right mindset, self-talk. So a lot of the times we tell ourselves when we need to show up on social media, like, nobody cares about what I have to say, it's not as important, I'm scared, all of those thoughts, which are 100% relevant, and they are fears, they are actual fears, and it's okay. What I usually tell my clients to do is I want you to make a list of all the fears that come up when you think about showing up on social media. And then I want you to start shifting the conversation in which you have. Because the truth is that our brains are programs, and also if you've seen a couple of my videos, you've heard me talk about this, that our brains are programmed, and the way you talk to yourself, like verbally, is what your brain hears, your subconscious. And if your subconscious is hearing negative self-talk, then the reality in which you are creating will most likely be negative. So how do we shift our reality? We start shifting the way we communicate to ourselves.
So it starts with a little bit of self-talk. So for example, and I'm gonna do something. Okay, so we're gonna do a little something here. I'm standing right in front of the mirror, obviously, as you can see, hello, hello. And it's literally about self-talk. So I am talking to myself, and this is so weird, but we're doing this. And I do this all the time, by the way. It's just weird because there's a camera looking at me, and I know that you guys are going to see this on YouTube. Now, let's say we're gonna use the example about how we think that what we have to say is irrelevant and nobody cares about what I have to say on social media. My subconscious is listening to this. How do I shift that conversation? How do I shift that programming? Let's change it by saying what I have to say is important and matters, and I can change one person's life today. I am going to show up. You say that with conviction and admiration, and you truly believe that what you're saying is valuable, and you do have the intention to possibly change someone's life, then why wouldn't you show up, right? So that was a little fun, and that's an example of what I typically do myself, what I have my clients do all the time. No joke. Scouts out there. Now, let's take it a little further. Like I said earlier, I want you guys to write down all those ideas, those negative beliefs, and I want you to create the positive beliefs to switch those up. And maybe you put them on a Post-it, maybe you put them as a reminder on your phone, but I want you to see it on a daily basis to start shifting that conversation. Guys, all of these little tweaks take time. Like, doing it once isn't gonna work. There has to be a consistency, there has to be a discipline behind doing it. And so starting with those small baby steps will make all the difference, I promise. And just so we're clear, you don't need a big audience to be showing up on social media. You can literally change someone's life by just one post, by just one story, by just one reel, and you will make a massive impact. So you're warned. Okay, this leads me to tip number 2, how to shift the mindset of perfectionism. From someone who has suffered from perfectionism, hello, welcome to my world. This is literally the #1 thing that stops people from doing anything, because they don't have the perfect brand photos, or they don't have the right captions, or they're not good writers, or they don't know the right hashtags to use, or they don't have the right systems or how to show up on stories, and all of that jibber jabber that we tell ourselves that we know isn't true, but it's the thing that is holding us back. So how do you shift your mindset from perfectionism? The first thing that I want you guys to realize is that perfectionism doesn't exist. Like, you cannot be perfect. So kind of just get over that slump, right? Like, make that realization that you can be perfect. The other thing I want to say is that social media has evolved and people love authenticity. People don't like perfection. Like, nobody wants to see somebody live a their perfect life. Like, first of all, it's not real. It just doesn't happen. So it doesn't make any sense. And so if you are stopping yourself from showing up because of perfectionism, I want you to take that and realize right then and there that perfectionism doesn't exist. So here's a few things I want you to put into perspective when you're dealing with perfectionism. Number 1, you want to start doing the small task. So for example, let's say you're starting out and you need brand photos. You don't need a professional photographer to take these photos. If you can afford to do it, I'm all for it, because you can use them for websites, and you can use them for launches, and you can use them for Instagram and all the things. But ideally, when you're just starting out, giving your friend a camera is more than enough. Going outside on a beautiful sunny day and having your husband or your partner or your friend take photos of you on a very good iPhone is 100% acceptable. And that will do, right? Maybe you have an old stock photos of a photo shoot you did about a year or 2 ago. You can totally use those photos. Those are acceptable, right? The other thing I want to remind you is that captions don't need to be a blog post. That's all I'm gonna say, and I'm just gonna drop that there because I think we forget. And then lastly is about graphics. One of the biggest things I get is, well, I don't have the right color scheme, and like, I don't know how to do my graphics and all the things. And what I want to remind you is that you guys don't need a professional brand person to put together your logos and your fonts and all these things. Like, there is a platform called canva.com, and it's free, and even the paid version is fairly priced, that you can totally create your own logo. And when you get to the point in your business that you've made money and you feel like you can invest some money into the branding and logo, then hire someone to do it. But when you're first starting out, trust me, you guys, it is not necessary. Now, if you're someone who is looking to build an online business and you want to start like yesterday, I want you guys to check out my freebie, my online business checklist. It's right here. It's somewhere on the screen, but also you can find the link in the description below. This checklist is everything you need to start an online business for getting your website set up, graphics, creatives, systems, all the things. And I tell you and teach you all the things that people don't talk about when they're starting an online business. It is a great tool. So you guys can go ahead and check that out. Okay, now back to tip number 3. Okay, so this is ultimately my favorite tip, tip number 3. How to shift your mindset is be in your future self. So what I mean by this is a lot of the time, I'm a big fan of Abraham Hicks and Dr. Joe Dispenza. If you guys haven't heard of those two, you should totally Google them and check them out because they are thebomb.com. They are the coolest. But they talk a lot about the fact that the future you, the goals and the person you want to become exists. Like it is out there, already happening in time and space. And you just have to catch up to it. Meaning those ideas that you have about running a business and being really successful and having that really pretty car, that a beautiful house, or that amazing lover, or that thriving billion-dollar business is all possible, and that person is already existing in another place and time. And so you just have to meet up with them. So what that means is behaving as if it already happened. Now, disclaimer here, I'm not telling you to think, oh, I am a millionaire now, I can go spend money like a millionaire. If I don't have it, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is to feel, because the most important thing with manifesting is feeling into the feelings of what it would feel like if you had that beautiful car that you want, that amazing lover, that house that you want, that business that you want, etc. You get my drift? So this tip is all about behaving as if you already exist. And so a lot of people come to me with Instagram and they say, well, I only have 500 followers. I only have 100 followers. I only have 5,000 followers. So I respond to them, what's your goal? Like what's the amount that you want that you are like dying to get? And they'll say something like 10,000 followers. Okay. Well, how would you behave if you had 10,000 followers? How would you show up on social media if you had 10,000 followers? Chances are that you would probably show up a lot more, you would post, and you would feel super excited to show up on social media, right? So if that's you and you feel that, then why don't you already show up as if it already exists? And that, my friends, is the secret. Acting as if it already exists. Like you've already reached that 100,000 followers, and how would you show up for them? How would you create content for them? How would you help them? So I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of an exercise here. I want you guys to journal on your future self. Who would this person be? How would they show up every day? What does their morning routine look like? How do they show up on social media? What conversations are they having with people? What kind of business do they have, right? Guys, writing this out, putting pen to paper is super powerful. And so this exercise will allow you to really feel into what it is that you want to create for yourself. And what I want you to pay attention to and get really specific on is the feeling. So for example, let's say you want to hit your first $10,000 month or your first let's say $5,000 month. I want you to feel into what it would feel like to have that $5,000 month. And typically when I do this for myself, what I do is I'll meditate for like 5 to 10 minutes and really ground myself. And then I will start thinking about the feeling and what it's going to take and how excited I am. And I'm not worried about the how. We're not worried about how it's going to get to us. What I want to get crystal clear on is the feeling. So I feel excited. I feel thrilled. I feel accomplished. I feel honored. Like, where is this money coming from, right? That people get to pay me to work with me. And I really feel into that. And then I journal on it. I put pen to paper. And I cannot tell you the difference that makes, because usually what happens is that it happens a lot quicker. Okay, and last but not least, because you made it to the end, I have a bonus tip for you. This one has been the ultimate shift that has taken my mindset from I need to show up on social media because I have to I need to show up on social media because I run a business and I am the CEO of my business. I'm gonna say that again. This is ultimately shift the way I show up in my business from I need to show up on social media because I have to I need to show up on social media because I am the CEO and this is my business. What I'm trying to say, you guys, is that I simply shifted the way I started to look at social media and I started to treat it like it was a 9 to 5. Ultimately, if you have a 9 to 5, this thought might be a little harder because you can't really show up to your social media as a 9 to 5 if you have a 9 to 5. So this might not work for you right away.
However, if you're someone who's building an online business and you don't have a 9-to-5, this is literally your 9-to-5. Start shifting the way you show up to your business as a 9-to-5. Because what happens is that you are securing and you are stepping into owning what you provide and the value that you bring to people. The reason why it's so difficult for people to show up on social media is because this is new. Social media has only been around for a decade. And the fact that people are making money off of it is like mind-blowing. So shifting that perspective, shifting the way we think about it is going to shift the way you show up. Because the truth is that the way we are wired is to have a 9-to-5 and go to a different location or work for someone. So it's a lot harder to do it on your own and then to be talking to a camera. You get my point. So shifting that perspective and treating your phone like if it's a 9-to-5 will definitely help. And again, it's turning on when you need to and turning off when you need to, because resting is just as important. All right, you guys, that concludes it for today. I hope this was helpful. Let me know what you guys think about these tips. Let me know what you guys are claiming in those comments, what you are envisioning for your future self. I love hearing these things and I love manifesting them with you. Thank you guys for being here, and I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you have an amazing day. Bye.